right, this is rhythm exercises for dotted notes, and this is in preparation for a piece called Theme from the New World Symphony in Stephanie Curcio's Level 1 Student Harpist book. This is going to be kind of an explanation of what she's doing on the page. The page is actually pretty explanatory, but I want to try and do some extra on that. A dot adds to a note a half again of its own value. In other words, it's a half of what that note is. Think of the given note as a tied to another, half its value. So a dotted whole note equals a whole note tied to a half note. 6 counts equals 4 counts plus 2 counts. Then you have a dotted half note. That equals 3 counts, and that equals also a half note and a quarter note if you put them in side by side, which equals 2 plus 3. A half note is 2 counts. The quarter note is 1 count. A dotted quarter note is counted in 1.5 counts. In other words, it's equal to 1 quarter note plus a half note, or a half of that quarter note, which is an eighth note. There are 2 eighth notes for every quarter note. If you think of a dotted quarter note as 3 eighth notes, it might help you a little bit rather than just think of it as 1 plus a half. So I think of a dotted quarter note as 3 eighth notes. The first 2 are the ones that go with the quarter note, and then the dot is the eighth note. So it's 1 and 2 and that is the and. 1 and 2, 1 and is the count, and then you have the rest of the eighth note. So in this exercise, you tap and count aloud the following patterns. Remember, the quarter note fills 1 entire beat. I count ands because it's a lot easier for me to get the eighth note steady, so I don't short the eighth notes or short the quarter note. The tie or dot fills the first half of the next beat. The following eighth completes the beat. So right here, she's got a exercise where you've got a quarter note tied to an eighth note, and then another eighth note, and then a dotted quarter, which is 3 count 3, and then the eighth note is on the and of 4. So we're thinking of it as from 4 counts. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that is what the right hand is going to be doing in this exercise, and then the left hand is going to be doing straight quarter notes. So it's 1, 2, whoops. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and she's giving you 4 counts because the piece, the solo, is in 4 counts, 4/4 time. So let's see if we can do the 2 hands together. So the right hand is this again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? Left hand is this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Put them together. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. And you'll notice that every time the eighth note plays, it's in between 2 quarter notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now we're going to reverse that proposition, and we're going to do the quarter notes in the right hand, and the left hand is going to take the dotted eighth note or dotted quarter note. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's exact opposite. You're playing the quarter notes with your right hand and the dotted rhythms in the left hand. When you put all these together, you have the rhythms that are in the piece itself. She doesn't give them an exact order that are in the piece, but it does give you kind of a gist of what's happening. That's on the top half of the page of page 32, rhythm 4 dotted notes. Bottom of the page, exercise 13 is the one you probably want to work on. It's the same thing. You've got a dotted rhythm in the right hand or the left hand, and then you have the left hand or the right hand does the quarter notes, depending on what the exercise says to do. First half of the exercise is the left hand has quarter notes all the way through. The right hand is going to be doing a dotted rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's going to be exactly 2 quarter notes with the bottom, with the left hand on the beat notes, which is the quarter notes. So here we go. 1, oh sorry, got to stay with the right notes here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's exactly what happens with the 8th note. The 8th note is between count 2 and 3. I'll repeat that one again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? And then if you look directly under that, you have the exact opposite, where the right hand is playing the quarter notes and the left hand is playing the same rhythm that the right hand just did. So left hand is going to be playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Right hand is going to be doing the same quarter notes that the left hand did. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? So let's do that one again. It's exact same rhythms, just opposite hands. The right hand's going to do the quarter notes, left hand's going to do the rhythm, the dotted half or dotted quarter notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Let's go back to the top group where the right hand is doing the rhythm and the left hand is doing the quarter notes. Left hand doesn't change the whole time. It doesn't change on these exercises, on the top part of the exercises. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just keeps on going just like a strong beat. The right hand is going to be playing the dotted quarter note rhythm and 8th notes. There's 2 8th notes, 3 8th notes in this exercise. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you've got them put together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And if you want to stop and do this without me saying anything, that's fine. And turn the sound off, that's fine. But it's the same thing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, and you go to the bottom run directly under that exercise I just played, and you'll see that the same thing happens in the left hand. The rhythm is the exact same thing as the right hand had, only it's in the left hand this time. Right hand is doing quarter notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the left hand is doing the rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Even if you don't count all this out, if you can even just hear what's going on first, it's probably easier to just orally figure out what's going on and copy that. Just copycat it. Play along with it and copycat it. And that way you get an idea of what that grouping of rhythms looks like. It's almost a rote thing. Once you figure it out, it's almost rote. But if you could even just copycat what they're doing, if you see that same pattern somewhere else in any other piece, you'll be able to get that rhythm because you've already learned it once. You don't have to relearn it every time. It's the same in even in different time signatures. It's the exact same. So let's go ahead and do the last exercise on the top part, which is another dotted rhythm, an 8th note rhythm. and the left hand is still doing the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then the right hand is doing the rhythm section. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it's just a different pattern. If you can remember that dotted quarter note is 3/8 notes. 3/8 notes. Let me do that again. 3/8 notes. Then you'll be okay. But I always stress, if you can add those ands, it's a lot more. It makes more sense to me, anyways. I don't know. Maybe it confuses you, but if you can just think of the dotted quarter note as 3/8 notes, you'll be fine. You won't miss any beats. You'll be okay. So let's take that last exercise on the top section of the exercise 13. Let's do it with the two hands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Try it again. Then we're going to switch it around, put the rhythm in the left hand and the steady quarter notes in the right. Try together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you'll notice that every time there's one quarter note, there's 2/8 notes, or a dotted quarter note has 3/8 notes to it to make sure it's in sync with the rest of the counting. And you always have to have whatever your time signature is. You have to have that as your basic. You have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or 1 and 2 and 3 and, or 1 and 2 and. It doesn't make any difference. You have to have that. You have to have as many eighth notes as is in each quarter note. Each quarter note is 2/8 notes. A dotted quarter note is always 3/8 notes, equals 3/8 notes. Okay, now we're going to go on to the theme from the New World Symphony, which is on page 33 in the Stephanie Curcio book. And I think I've got all my levers right. We need F sharps and C sharps. Clear up to this F sharp up here. And the left hand consistently through this piece has a quarter note. Doesn't change. So it's all to the right hand. The right hand has to know what the quarter note is doing and how many eighth notes it equals and so on like that. So let's go through the right hand first, and let's find the patterns first. So we've got one pattern. Let me see if it equals anything on that sheet. Now, there's no half notes in our exercises, so we don't have anything really. We've always got 2 quarter notes or something like that. So the half note is a little kind of a wild card in this, but 2 quarter notes equals half note. That's all you have to remember. So it gets 2 counts. So this is in 4/4 times, same thing that we did the exercise in. This is going to be the right hand only, and the first pattern I see is F sharp to A. So it's this. That's the pattern, and then it repeats the A. That's without rhythm. Okay, now I'm looking at the piece again. That pattern doesn't show up again in the same notes, but it does show up in the same rhythm. So there are 2 places where this pattern works. That's just straight notes, no rhythm or anything. But this is a pattern that occurs twice on the first measure of the piece and the 5th measure of the piece on the second line, the first measure of the second line. That pattern does not show up anywhere else in notes. In rhythm, it does. So if we play this as it's written, it's a dotted quarter note to an eighth note to a half note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That is what the first measure of each one of those lines is. That rhythm in those notes does not occur again. That's the only two places where that occurs in the piece. The next time that rhythm occurs is in the second measure, but it's in different notes, and it's not the same notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? That doesn't occur again either, so it's brand new material. The next time that that same rhythm occurs is on the second line, second measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's the same rhythm for each of those first two measures of the first line, first two measures of the second line. That's the same rhythm. Not the same notes, just the same rhythm. The next pattern that occurs is a dotted quarter note to an eighth note and a dotted quarter note to an eighth note. That pattern is in the piece twice. Third measure of each line, but it's different notes. The first time it occurs is the third measure of the first line. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Second line, it is and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So that rhythm is the same. If you played them together, it would sound sort of like this. Play that better. Different notes, same rhythm. So if you get those patterns down, you'll be fine. Left hand does nothing basically except keep the beat. 1 and 2 and C sharp. Second line, 1, back to D, C sharp, so when you put that all together, God willing, I'll be able to play it. Okay. The duo now is right underneath the theme from the New World Symphony. It's on the same page. Stems equals the hand. That means if the stems are down, this is kind of reversing some of the stuff we've learned. We don't always use stems up, stems down. In this piece you do. So left hand is going to be in the treble clef. Here's 3/4 time. Same thing applies. We get 3/8 notes. 1 and 2 and 3, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So we look again for patterns. That first pattern, exact same notes and everything, occurs at least twice. I see it twice in the piece. Let's see if you can find it. And that's basically the first two measures of that piece. The primo piece, the primo part, is going to be the same notes as the second line, the first two measures. Third and fourth measures are the same as the second line, third and fourth measures. Fourth measure is the same as the fourth measure of the second line. Then it changes. So you'll have to learn what those notes are in the treble clef. So I find patterns first. This is the pattern I found. This is left hand first. 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, and I'm going to play it again because it occurs again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and then I go on. The second pattern is this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and then I'm playing it again because it's directly under the first pattern on the lines there. 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and then this occurs twice. 1, 2. And she's got you starting with 3 on the bottom line, but 2 on the top line. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. Bottom line is 3, 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Oh, that's not the same. Guess what? I made a mistake. Start on F, but don't stay the same as the top note, top line. So from that point on, the fourth measure, fifth measure on, it is different to the end. And both lines are different. There's no pattern that I can see that is the same. I see this, well, I do see one pattern that's the same. Let's see if you can find it. It's hidden. So you'll have to kind of look for it. Okay, duo from Mozart. Here's the primo part. I'm going to try and use the hands that are indicated in the piece. Stems up are right hand, stems down are left. Okay, when you're playing along with this, you can do the primo part or you can do the secondo part, whichever one you feel comfortable with. Your harp, if it's a 26 string harpsichord, will have the correct notes. Left hand is going to be pretty easy. I'm looking at it now, and this seems to be the pattern. All quarter notes. That's for the first two measures of the first two lines. Second. Looks like third and fourth measures are the same, but they're a different pattern, different notes, same pattern. Now, this is when it changes on the fifth measure. Okay? Then the fifth measure of the second line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is different than the top line. And she doesn't have fingers marked in here except for stems, so you'll have to mark your fingers if you want to make sure you're going in the right direction with your fingers. Here is the secondo part, so you can listen to it and play along the primo with it, or you can play this and then the primo part will play. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and connected the last 3 notes in the right hand because it's got stems up 3 times. So just go ahead and connect them. Okay. All right, well, have fun with these, and hopefully you'll get a chance to do them and enjoy.